Hello, sir. Uh, Hello, everyone.
Are you live?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special session organized by iQUANTA. On this session, we have Dr. Dipankar Bose, who is an associate professor at XLRI in the field of production, operation, and decision sciences at XLRI Jamshedpur. He has been a part of the XLRI fraternity since 2010, and he has also been a part of the XAT question paper setting committee. He did his bachelor's in chemical engineering from Jadavpur University in 1999 and doctorate in operations management from IIM Calcutta in 2010. Prior to his doctoral study, he has worked in a leading petrochemical complex for more than 4 years. And apart from teaching, Professor Bose has also worked on consulting projects for various government and private organizations in India. We are really, really glad to have you on board, sir. Thank you, sir, for doing this. And
Good afternoon, Kanishk.
Hello, sir. And sir, like being a part of the ZAT question paper setting team, it must be like it must be a great pride of joy that is one of the premier B school examinations. And I just wanted to have like a professor perspective regarding how the ZAT exam is set and how it is a very student-friendly examination and what can students right now who are preparing for ZAT expect moving ahead.
So, Kanishk, as you know that in that we have mainly three sections. Okay, one is verbal, and the second one is the quantitative part, and third one is which is unique in that. But at a much later point of time, GMAT also started. That is the decision making section. In fact, the decision making section will say that one of the unique feature in that which is there for long time. And if I just go through the history of that, initially it was only verbal and the quant section. Then long back we introduced this decision making, and at a later point of time we have started with this questions on little bit on the general knowledge. And essay was there. Sometimes essay was off, sometimes essay was on. So currently all these sections are part of our system. Now,
Yes,
if
sir.
you ask me from a professor point of view, I will not say professor point of view, I will say from question paper committee, it was really enjoying. When say we normally sit together, we prepare multiple questions, then multiple rounds of checks are there, and some of us will solve from the student point of view, not from as a faculty point of view. So we always keep in mind that if someone who is coming to that exam hall with lots of tension, lots of anxiety, and time crunch, all these things are there, they are looking at the question paper for the first time. Okay. So considering that we have in the subcommittee who works on how to look at that question, whether this question is very difficult within the given time or it is becoming too easy for that standard. All these things we used to check, and that entire process generally used to take maybe 3 to 4 months at least. Okay,
Yes, sir.
with multiple rounds of checks, and maybe I can say that probably we have prepared, let's say, 100 questions in math. From there, we rejected, and finally, we are coming up to probably 20 to 24 questions, or maybe 30 questions. So that is level of effort goes into preparation of that questions.
Definitely, sir. And sir, you mentioned that you look at it from a student perspective. I think that is very much evident in the ways that is set up. Like having no sectional time limits is one of the most important parts of any examination because some students have a strong hold in some subjects and some have a strong hold in different subjects. And if like students are not bound by like the limited time frame within each section, they can actually perform on a much better level. That is something that I think every student here would appreciate.
True. Actually, if you see, if I am a student, I might be good in one of the subjects where with a smaller amount of time, let's say 180 minutes for easy calculation, and you divide 60, 60, 60. Now it might be easy for someone to appear for all these verbal questions maybe within 40 minutes. So then extra 20 minutes the student can give for other section. Or maybe someone is good in quant, very good in quant, I will say that. And he or she can identify the questions patterns and can answer the necessary and important questions, maybe let's say again 40 minutes. So this additional 20 minutes, additional 30 minutes, he or she can distribute in other sections. Particularly, sometimes it happens that some people are good in one or two sections and not that good in the third section. So they can spend more time there. So that is the advantage of not having any kind of boundary on each of the sections.
Definitely, sir. And I think everyone appreciates that completely. Another thing, sir, I wanted to like in the previous session when we had Dr. Rahul Shukla with us, he mentioned that similar competencies are checked when it comes to CAT and XAT. Can I just have your perspective regarding like merging quant with data interpretation and verbal with logical reasoning? Like, what was the like from a paper setting committee point of view? What was your thinking for merging these two sections there?
See, I will first talk about the verbal section. Okay. In verbal section, you will see that for last few years, we are keeping at least one poem now, which is not common in many other exams. I'm not talking about only CAT, let's say GMAT also, but it is very important because whenever you are going through all these things, understanding a poem, particularly the abstract nature of the poem, is very important, which we want to check. Number two, if you look at the verbal question, it's logical and verbal. Okay, so it is not only verbal, it's verbal and logical reasoning. So we are not only testing that whether you can remember this meaning of this particular word or sentence or maybe this phrase, but at the same time, how you are looking into this question. How, when you are reading an RC passage, at the same time, how you are looking into that, what is the inner meaning of the passage, and that is very important. That does not require kind of very much high amount of practice in RC and other things. In the exam hall also, if you have that particular mindset of looking into between the lines, it is very easy for you to appear for that. It's not that difficult. Okay.
Definitely, sir.
Now coming to the numerical part, and where I always like that question, that it's not like you have to remember the formulas. Most of the questions, in fact, when I was part of the committee, my seniors instructed me that prepare questions in such a way that the people don't need to remember the formulas. They can straight go from their first principle and can solve the problem, and we provide sufficient time for that. In fact, that is one of the, apart from the DM section, that is another unique feature in that, where we are, in a way, we try to incorporate not the uh, numerical part, mogging up part of the numerical thing, but the whether a student has gone through the basics of these questions or not. Okay. So many a times what generally happens that students, they have a tendency to go through different chapters in the numerical, but go for 100, 200 or maybe 500 questions they solve, and they believe that okay, if I solve all these questions, at least I can answer, or maybe shorter formulas they try to remember. Okay, that is the trend in many of the exams, not only that, in our other exams also. That is the trend. However, in that we make sure that if you cannot remember any of the formula, then also by looking into your basic ideas about this particular chapters, the concepts, you can answer this question, and we provide sufficient time for that. One
Definitely.
other thing I just want to add, I'm not sure whether Professor Rahul Shukla has already mentioned it or not. This time they are introducing, they means that the committee is introducing on-screen calculator. So even that, because what we have seen that in the exam pressure, many times students make silly mistakes. We don't want people to make silly mistakes. If you understand the concept, you should not select a wrong option because you have just made a wrong addition or wrong multiplication. Okay,
Definitely.
so that is one important thing. Now some of you might have this query that if there is on-screen calculator, whether it will be going to be calculation heavy. No, the type of the question will remain same, which we asked in last few years, and the way we prepare the question in the same way. The only thing is that it will make you easier. You don't have to even think for the calculation part, the simple calculation part. Okay. Sometimes
Exactly.
calculation might be required. So that is the important thing.
Definitely, sir. And I think that is very, very essential because, like, if I remember last time when I gave the XAT exam, I also wish that, okay, if there was a calculator, maybe it would have gotten easier. I might have scored even better. However, like, as you mentioned, the way the exam is set up, it's very, very student friendly. So, thank you so much for that addition.
Calculator is not that way required, but even then, we don't want people to make silly mistakes and come
Correct.
up with a wrong answer or wrong option. Okay, so that's why we have decided to introduce it.
Definitely, sir. And sir, another thing that a lot of people have in mind is XAT is perceived to be one of the toughest B school examinations in the country. And one of the primary reasons for that is the decision-making section. People are like a lot of time clueless regarding how they can prep for it, what are the competencies which are assessed, and why is that even asking a section like decision-making in their entrance examination itself. So if you can like elaborate a little bit upon the DM section and what would be your advice for students to tackle such a section?
Okay, first let me answer your question about why DM section. Okay. Now, if you look at the questions of this type, forget about ZAT, CAT, or ZMAT, or any other question. Normally, what happens? We check the students in two ways. Number one, whether the student has quantitative ability, and number two, whether the student has verbal ability. But for the people who are going to be managers, they should also have another very important ability to understand the requirement of the stakeholders. That is number one. And number two, when you are taking the decision, you should remember that you cannot get the best solution always. There are multiple solutions available. None of them might be best depending on the situation, and you have to make a trade off. So, whenever you are thinking about numerical parts, those are straightforward. Whenever you are thinking about verbal part, those are kind of understanding the concept, understanding between the line. But whenever the time decision making comes into picture, nothing is testing that. Okay, not the verbal part, not the quant part. So that's why we have introduced it, and this unique feature will check that whether when a student is appearing for this section, whether the student has this understanding in the way I am repeating once again, that there are two things. Number one, that you have to take a trade-off decision, okay, where multiple solutions can be there and none of them can be the best solution, but you have to choose the better one among the solutions available. And number two, while you are taking the decision, which is very important for us, that our students should understand that the all the stakeholders are important. It's not that one particular stakeholder is important and others we can ignore. No, all the stakeholders are important. If you look back in the screen, you can see XLRI talks about two important parts: excellence, integrity. And at the same time, there are two other things. One is the ethics and another is the sustainability. So when we prepare the DM question, we keep these things in mind. Now, how these things are coming into pictures? Whenever you look at the DM questions, there are two types of DM. One is qualitative type and another is quantitative type. Now, quantitative type decision making is kind of optimization, not using the optimization tool, not using the linear programming or something like that. But whenever you are solving the problem, you have to identify based on the data available that this is the best decision which I can take. And the other one is more qualitative type. Now, I want to give some guidance to the people who are attending this session live, or maybe in future also they will see this video. See, an organization always does better if it thinks about a long-term perspective. So whenever you are looking into a DM question, think that whether your decision has long-term benefit or not. It should not be short-term. Okay. So whenever I'm getting a solution, I have to identify, okay, this option gives me a long-term benefit compared to longer-term benefit compared to others. This option is not giving me any unethical solution.
Hmm.
This option is not going against the sustainability concepts which we are inculcating within ourselves. So these things are very important. So whenever you see in the DM questions that a decision is taken which is short term, which is kind of not so ethical or ignore some of the stakeholders, you always can understand that that is not the correct option. So this is the easiest trick. Okay. Whenever
Definitely.
you are thinking about DM, do not consider any solution which is having short-term benefit, which is having unethical decision, and which is ignoring some of the stakeholders. Okay.
Hmm.
Then it is very easy section.
Definitely so. And sir, another question that a lot of people have is, does XLRI recommend any sources for preparing for the DM section, especially because it is something which is not assessed by other examinations, as you mentioned earlier?
And I'm saying that no, I will frankly say that nothing is required. In fact, you don't have to study anything. We are looking for the students who have these capabilities. Okay. And that capabilities can be understood while you are appearing for a question. So if you, obviously you can go through previous year questions, you can check the answers to have some idea that how these decisions are being taken or what type of questions we ask. But I will better say that you do not require any practice for this. Only thing, if you can't think from your say obviously there are students who are can think from this type of angles like long-term decision making or ethical decision making or sustainable decision making from their childhood. Okay, and they have taken such decisions, they have shown those capabilities within themselves, so this becomes very easy for them.
Hmm.
Those who are little bit confused about this, that okay, I may not have very good idea about what is can be called as ethical, what is can be called unethical, or maybe what is not so long term decision which is very short term, and which is not a sustainable decision or which ignores the stakeholder sensitivity. All these things, for them I will suggest you go through previous years paper only, and then based on that you can understand what we are looking into. Okay.
100%. Definitely. And if like any of the students are wanting to look at the previous year questions, they can do so at the XAT website itself. And if they want to attempt it in a test-like environment, you can go through iQuanta website where all these questions are in an examination format, where you can actually sit through and attempt them in a like a test environment, and that should also help out a lot. Sir, another question that a lot of people have is regarding the GK section. Like that again being the only examination where the general knowledge of candidates is checked. Like even though it is not a part of the aggregate percentile, which is aggregate score which is given, however, it is also a part of the like the extra section that they have. So, like what should a student do when it comes to the GK section? Is that?
See, whenever GK comes to any picture, we always think that GK is about general knowledge, but there is another part, general awareness also.
Yeah.
So we mainly concentrate on the general awareness part. And we want to see that when a student is, say, in today's time, students who are appearing for that, some of them are maybe working executives, some of them are completely freshers, but they have access to various news portals. They know what is happening at the surroundings. So we choose questions from that place only. Okay, and maybe some basic idea about some historical concepts which we feel that everyone should remember even if they've forgotten most of the things. Okay, so we do not ask question that when this particular first Panipat war happened, or when you are that on what date this particular event has happened. But we mainly concentrate on the general awareness, and our history or geography questions are also such that it is not kind of remembering anything. It's about the awareness. You should be aware about the geographies, what is happening. If you are a student, a person today, you should know that where is Ukraine, where is Russia, or maybe what kind of oil prices are happening, or maybe other issues like Bangladesh, whether it is at the east side or at the west side of India. All these things are important. Okay,
Definitely, sir.
so it's not about general knowledge, and you don't have to prepare for it.
Definitely,
If
sir.
you are reading the newspaper regularly, okay, if you have a habit for that, it is very easy for you. But I will also say that you don't have to prepare or create a habit at this moment. Okay,
Definitely,
if
sir.
you are having the habit, then it's okay. If you are not having that habit, maybe you can scroll through some of the newspaper items, or maybe daily you can have a practice. It is very important. For managers also, it is important to know the social status of different countries, states, what is the geography, what is the history, little bit of idea about this also required. So that's why we have this GK section. But it's
Definitely.
not remembering. Okay.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Definitely, sir. If I can speak from my own personal experience, it was actually very fun to attempt the GK section because there were a question, there were a lot of questions about the pop culture as well. There were a lot of questions about current happenings around the world. So that was actually pretty fun. Like another question I think we have from the chat is from Dinesh Kumar Das, who's asking about what can a student do about the QADI section with less than 1 month to go for the examination?
Uh, QADI section. We have a syllabus for that.
Mhm.
Okay. What I will suggest, go through any 10th level, maybe ICSC or CBSE book. Okay. See whether you can attempt those questions at the basic level, not even at the advanced level, because when we prepare the questions, we don't look that whatever is the question. We know that, okay, this is the context, and we put something with that context. So practicing may not give you any benefit, but if you understand that thing conceptually well, okay, you can always answer it. For example, many a time students I have seen, they practice for shorter methods in uh, this ratio or proportion analysis. I am bringing this because there are some shortcut methods available for that. But
Mhm.
when we prepare this question, we make sure that without that shortcut also you can
Mhm.
answer it, and probably the shortcut can take you in a wrong place. Okay,
Okay.
because whenever the shortcuts are used, most of the time those are with some kind of given situations.
Yes, sir.
So that is not the concept development. So if you want to do good in that, you should develop the concept. Okay, read the concepts, and that will be enough. Practice, obviously, you can do the practice to understand the language of the question. There is something which is concept, and there is something which is called language of question. So for understanding language of question, I think that once again, I will say that previous year JAT questions are enough for your understanding. But I will never say that you have to practice and remember each and every formula. That is not at all important. Okay, and that's how we say that that is separate compared to other examinations.
Definitely, sir. I hope that answers your question, Vinay.
But one thing, just about the DI part, I forgot to mention that. In DI, there are two types. One is understanding from the graph, which is very important in today's time, that
Mhm.
you have to have the visualization ability. So you try to understand the graphs, and that you can practice whether by looking into different types of graphs like bar chart, pie chart, or any combination of those kind of graphs, whether you can uh, gather the information. Okay, it's not the data crunching only, it is gathering the information. And many a times we have seen that people ignore the visualization part of the DI section. Okay, they do good in whenever there are tables, whenever there are questions asked from the table, they do all the numerical things. But whenever the graphs come, whenever the visualization comes, they feel a little bit shaky and they try to avoid those answers. So don't do that. Graphs are very important for your future also, because visualization is the future. Kanish can tell me better than that. He is going through multiple courses here.
Definitely, sir.
So obviously you should concentrate on the graphs and charts.
Definitely, sir. And like if I can speak from my 6 months at XLRI, yes, visualizing data is one of the most important factors Like we are doing it through softwares like R, or even like basic softwares like Microsoft Excel, just to understand what this data shows and what this data is trying to convey to us. And it is a very essential part of the of being a good manager. Definitely, sir. So another question that we have is like, what can a student expect when it comes to the poems in the VALR section? Because like some of them can be like a little bit abstract. Like what exactly is that? Like what exactly is XLRI trying to assess like through the poems?
See, now if I go to the history of this LR section, LR section was created, and why it is checked, someone that told me when I was student at IIM Calcutta, that in CAT also that thing is there, that for long time we want to check that when a person is getting a report, whether the person can read the report very quickly and can understand it between the lines. Okay,
Mhm.
so that is the purpose why the RC part came into this, means historically, not only that cat and all other exams. So you have to have a habit of reading. Okay,
Mhm.
it's not that you today tomorrow there is exam and today you are starting the habit of reading books, reading story books, reading newspaper articles. It's not going to work. You have to have the habit for long time. And if you are not having that much of habit, at least you have to have it of reading the books of your study books also. So the more you read, the more you'll be able to comprehend,
Definitely.
and there will be then it will be very easy to understand what is happening. Okay, whenever you are looking into the, I'm talking about RC first, the other part I will come later. Okay, whenever you are looking into any poem or any part of the prose is given as the reading comprehension part, read that very quickly. Read it two, three times. Don't jump into the conclusion. Many a times the candidates they make mistake because they try to jump to the option very quickly. No. Spend more time in reading. Okay. Read it. Maybe if it is required, read it two times, three times. Okay. The entire section, entire part of the question, and then answer it. So that is the only trick which you can take. You have to have a quick read. You have to be a quick reader. There is 1 month exam is there. After that, at least this thing, if you don't have practice, you can start practicing reading different types of articles, small stories very quickly, and understanding what is there, what is the synopsis. In today's time, we have forgotten reading. We are going
Definitely.
to different chat or different, I will say that AI tools and just try to identify the synopsis. No, that does not work, at least for that. So you have to read. Okay, you have to have
Definitely.
practice of reading. That is very, very important. Okay.
That is so much true, sir. And like, sir, a lot of people have this question, like in the chat as well. Like, given the unique structure of the examination, how can one manage time effectively? Like, because like there are no sectional limits and people can toggle between the sections at any given point. So, like, what would be your advice when it comes to managing time effectively for that?
See, I can give that if I would have been a student and if I would have appeared for that, what way I would have done.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
I would have taken the my section, which is I feel maybe many of you appear for multiple mock tests, etc. By now, most of you have understood that okay, this is my strength and this is my weakness. Okay, so concentrate on the your strength first. So take time. Maybe take if again at the start I was telling that if I divide it 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, it's not exactly 1 hour, but near to that 175 minutes I will say. Uh,
Yes.
so let's say whatever time is there. So your strongest section, whatever it is, do it last in first 40 minutes and try to read each and every question. Okay, at least the question part.
Mhm.
I am not saying that you can read the whenever you are going through let's say verbal section, you can read the RC immediately. Okay, at least you should have the feel of the question paper, and that should be done within past 10 15 minutes. Okay. Many a times what happens that towards the end there are questions which the candidate thinks that I could have answered it if I could have got the time. But they are stuck in answering some of the questions and never fight with any question. When I'm saying that never fight with any question is never keep your egos with the questions. Okay. So I have solved this similar question earlier, and currently I should be able to solve it. Why it is I am not getting solved? So don't stuck in any question. You have to have the habit of leaving the question. That is very very important. So then only you can manage your time. It's not that I have done this, so even it takes 5 minutes, I have to solve this question. No, there are many things which you have done earlier and you cannot do it now. So you have to accept that and you have to go to the next question immediately. Do not spend more than 30 seconds in any numerical question. Do not spend more than maybe 1 minute in any descriptive type of question. Okay, that is
Definitely.
my idea. I'm not saying that that works for everyone and that may not work for many of you, but that is my idea of answering the questions. Okay. And if you
Definitely.
have practiced well, remember that if the question is tough, it is tough for everyone. And if it is easy, it is easy for everyone. So you don't have to panic during the exam. Okay. Avoid panic. And as Kanishk has already mentioned multiple times from his experience, that it's an interesting, it's an enjoyable moment, I will say, that appearing for that. Okay.
Definitely, sir.
So don't panic, enjoy the exam.
Definitely, sir. And sir, like there is a one question that I think every student has it on their minds right now. Like with less than 1 month to go for the examination, what can one look forward to? Like, should they actually go ahead with attempting a lot of mocks? Should they actually be focusing on clarifying their concepts right now? Or should they just, like leave everything behind and have to clear their mind for like the last 1 month to the examination? What would you suggest as a professor?
Mock tests are helpful if you are getting good marks. Okay. If you are getting good score, if you are getting good ranks. Otherwise, don't go for mock tests. Okay. That time you can spend little bit by answering previous years that questions if you want to go for it. Okay. So that is the first thing. Number two, for practicing, I will say that make a habit of reading small articles, small poems. Maybe you can take books from 10th level, 12th level, the English book, that will be enough, okay, for your reading habit. Uh, do not practice many questions, but practice the concept, understand the concepts in the numerical part. Give little bit importance on data visualization type of questions, okay. Uh, and for DM, you don't have to do anything particularly. You can just go through previous year question if you want. And just remember that DM is something which you have to answer from your inner thought. It's not that you have an answer and a ready answer available. Okay. So that is important. Little bit of remembering some of the important words. So obviously vocabulary is important in RC passage, or so you can have some ideas about if you have forgotten the grammar portion and similar things. So that will be enough for 1 month. Okay. And for last 3 days, relax, do nothing.
Definitely,
That's
sir.
suggestion from my side.
Definitely, sir. And sir, one final question that I have from my end. As a professor who also will be taking interviews for the students for the upcoming batch, what exactly is XLRI looking at a student who is applying for XAT or XLRI?
Uh, Most importantly, we prefer that whenever we prepare the interview panel, we have people from multiple backgrounds. So from engineering background, from non-engineering background, from arts, commerce, all the backgrounds are there. So we have the committee who is capable of checking whether you have the basic understanding of your graduation level, which is very important. If you successfully convert the exam, if you get called for XLRI, remember you must prepare your graduation level studies. Okay. Do not say that I have forgotten it. You should not say answer that thing. Okay. And I have forgotten, I have not kept interest because we feel that everything which you are learning, whether it is from the arts background, whether it is from the commerce background, or whether it is from the engineering background, whether it is completely coding, it's very important. If you are good at coding, you should say in the interview that I am good at coding, and your questions will be on the basis of that. If you are good at mathematics, you should say that. If you are good at some other things like accounting or maybe finance subjects or something, which or maybe subjects related to sociology, anthropology, or maybe if you have very good reading habits, okay, you should convey that message. Okay, never say in the interview that I have forgotten my graduation thing. Okay, never say that. It is very important. We check, we want those students who are coming here, they must be studying their graduation level very seriously. Okay, then only they can cope up with the XLRI student, XLRI requirement. Getting to that is easy. Okay, I will say tough, but sustaining at XLRI might be even tougher. So you have to be very careful. And if you have spent your time doing something else, okay, maybe obviously we are not against extracurricular. We always consider extracurricular skills people to build them as a complete person, but that not by ignoring your studies. So this is very important message. I thanks for asking this question, because many students think that if I am coming to management education, that means I should only focus on extracurriculars and not on my studies. But studies are very important, and we are in the interview panel to check whether you have studied properly or not. Okay.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much for that answer. Actually, I think that will help out a lot of students who are preparing for the XAT as well as for their XLRI or any B school interviews for that matter. Thank you so much for that answer, sir. Yeah. And sir, I'll just
Okay.
take one final question from the chat before we close. Like a poem can have like different interpretations from like different reader perspectives. So, how can one actually tackle the questions when it comes from the poems in the RC section?
See, we also understand that it can have different perspectives, and in the group also we discuss whenever we prepare these questions and prepare the options. So someone probably prepare this question and taking one poem, and others in the group are there who are checking that whether the answer is there. So we always go with that answer, which is I will say that without any controversy. Okay.
Yeah,
So poem can have multiple answers definitely, but we avoid those questions where those multiple answers are part of your options. Okay. So
definitely.
among these multiple answers, only one option will be there. So we make sure that thing.
Understood, sir. And so, like, I'll just take one final question. Like, what if someone who has work experience in different subs in different fields and has studied different things in the graduation? Like, when it comes to their interviews, do they need to worry about anything?
No, why? It's good to have multiple work in multiple cities. So you know multiple cities. That means you know people there. You know culture there. So you are becoming a complete man. India is full of cultures, multiple places. So if you know that, that is good. Okay.
Okay.
In
Yeah,
fact, that is appreciated that you have worked in multiple places. Okay. And you have learned multiple things from those places along with your journey at working executive.
yeah, definitely, sir. I think that will help out a lot of people who have those sort of queries. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And like any parting thoughts you have for the viewers that we have or people will be watching this video after this is posted up. Like any final parting thoughts from your end.
I will once again only repeat this statement that consider the exam seriously, prepare for it seriously, but on the exam day, enjoy those times. Okay, enjoy the question and understand that if you have prepared at the conceptual level, then you are ahead of others. So that is the only thing I want to say, that it's not a question paper where you need to remember everything. It's more conceptual. So if you have developed the concepts, you are the person who can crack it. Okay.
Definitely.
And best of luck. I think that we are towards the end. So best of luck to all the viewers. Okay. Hope that most of you will get success either in XLRI or other very good B schools. And that's our from the success for our end. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you. Like, this was actually a very insightful talk, even for me, when I look back at my journey and my experiences with that. And I think this will be very helpful to everyone who listens to it. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Yeah,
Thank you, Kanishk.
thank you
Okay.
so much, sir.
So can I log off now?
Yeah, definitely, sir. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Okay. And goodbye to everyone.